Our guy Ross Tucker, who joins us now, talks some NFL as we head towards Week 8. Ross, how you doing today?
Ross.
I am fantastic. Good morning or afternoon for you guys from Los Angeles. And I think I've done almost every Thursday night game this year. So, yeah, we got Carson Wentz, our old friend, again, and the Vikings against the Chargers. Huge game for both these teams.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one tonight to kick off Week 8 in the NFL. Ross, we're looking forward to Eagles-Giants on Sunday, but also looking back at what happened last week with the Eagles and the Vikings. Ross, one thing we've been debating today is whether or not we're going to see more of what worked for the Eagles on Sunday, which was Jalen Hurts under center, specifically the under center play action. He was 4 of 4 on that. That was the big bomb to Devontae Smith. Ross, what did you think of how they did that on Sunday and adjusted their offense? And then second part, do you think we're going to see more of that moving forward?
Well, I thought it was awesome. I mean, obviously everything I thought that Hurts did was incredible, and I thought Patullo really called a really good game and deserves a bunch of credit for the design and the scheme around it. You know, the thing that people don't realize, any play action is good, but the under center play action, there's just a bigger menu of options. There aren't that many play action passes out of the gun because there aren't that many runs. The other thing is the whole advantage, guys, of doing the play action is that you force the D-line and the linebackers, and to some extent the safeties, to at least read run or play run for a split second. If you do it from gun, it's like a really quick, half-hearted, put the ball in the running back's belly and then throw it. If you do it from under center, you don't even know if he's given the ball to the running back or not for like a full second, right? Because he's under center. He has to get back from center. Saquon goes left or right. He goes over there, puts the ball in the belly, whatever, fakes it. So it forces the defense to play run for at least half a second longer, which is so valuable for the offensive line because at that point, they're on the D lineman. They got them, and there aren't very many D linemen that are able to transition rush to get pressure at that point, which is one reason why Hurts had so much time. And to answer your question, it would be ludicrous to not use it this much or to not continue to use it. I would have no understanding why it wouldn't continue to be a pretty big part of what they've done. I think they might have been under center maybe 15 times or something on Sunday, which is way more than they had been the rest of the year. And it worked. The thing is it seems like it works for almost everybody.
Yeah, and to piggyback on what you're saying, Ross, if say, for instance, as a defensive line, if I get to jump on you and I have to take that beat to read, run a pass, it gives you a chance to recover. I mean, that's the biggest thing. It gives you a chance to recover and get back in your pass blocking or whatever it is, run blocking, and allows me not to make a play. That's basically what it does.
Well, listen, here's the reality. I was not good in obvious passing situations, one-on-one pass protection. I have short arms. I struggled. I loved play action because I would just sell the crap out of the run, and it looked like a run. And so the defensive lineman thought he was doing a decent job against the run. By the time he figured it out, I was on him. It was over. I was on him, and he was not going to be able to get pressure after that.
Ross Tucker with us here as we get ready for Eagles-Giants on Sunday. Ross, Brandon Graham returning to the Eagles, which all those rumors started to come out when we were doing the pregame show Sunday, and then by Tuesday it all became official. Ross, what's your expectation for BG? And I realize had a camp and he's just getting back here, but I look at it as if he could be what he was last year. That's a pretty big addition for the Eagles as they go towards the trade deadline and down the stretch of the season. What's your expectation for what they might get out of BG the second half of the season?
Well, first of all, they essentially are giving him $5 million. Now it's prorated for half the season, but that's a real number. That's not like, hey, let's give this guy the minimum 1.5 or whatever. This is a real number. And I can guarantee you it's more money than Brandon was making doing the media stuff. So good for him for half the season. That's amazing. I think two things. I really believe on some level, and I'd love if they were taking truth serum, and Sirianni would never admit to this. I would love to know what percentage of this is what BG brings to the locker room, to the D-line meeting room. I'm talking about his personality, his energy, the trash talking, everything that he brings to the table. I really do believe that that's a significant part of this because they're going to get Nolan Smith back soon. They still might make a move at the trade deadline for another edge guy. I don't know if I really expect Brandon to play more than 20 snaps in a game. What I like about it, though, for a guy like him is he's kind of like Hugh was in the sense that neither guy was ever really like a speed rusher. Hugh more so than BG or like a bendy guy. When I think about Hugh, when I think about BG, I think about power rushers. They came with physicality. They have explosive, powerful lower bodies. They came with their hands. So even if BG, quote unquote, lost a step or maybe isn't quite as agile, he's a power rusher anyway. He's coming to bring the physicality and attack that offensive lineman, which I really like, and I think they need with the other guys they have.
I agree on that, and I think he's going to help here. And Ross, I would say it's maybe close to 50-50 if I had to guess on that split. And I think what he could bring on the field is obviously they need, but also the locker room stuff. Ross, as we go towards the trade deadline, which is just about a week and a half away, not this coming Tuesday, but the following one, Ross, when you look at the Eagles right now, and Howie's already made a good number of moves since training camp started, trading a bunch of picks for offensive depth pieces, but when you look at them right now, if you're Howie, if you could add one thing of significance, what would you add to this team?
Whew. Yeah, I mean, I think the answer is a corner. And I'll tell you why. I know a lot of people are saying edge, okay? They just signed Brandon Graham. They're going to get Nolan Smith back. And because of the way Nakobe Dean played as an off-the-ball backer, they're going to be able to put Campbell out there on the edge more. And I think he's going to end up making an impact with more edge snaps and end up being an effective player there. So they essentially, over the next couple of weeks, are adding, in my mind, 3 edge guys to Hunt and Ojulari and Uche or whatever. So I think that's enough. I think that the bigger issue is they're going to continue to pick on the corner opposite Quinyon Mitchell. I know Cooper's been playing outside a little bit more, but that would be – and also Makuba has kind of been up and down, so there's a chance they would even want to put Cooper at safety in base more. I really think if they could get what they feel like is an upgrade at corner, that would be more pressing than edge rusher because they got a bunch of guys at edge rusher, new guys, or guys coming back from injury in the mix. At corner, we've seen both Adoree and Ringo can be liabilities at times, and that's who these teams are going to pick on in the playoffs.
Ross, last one for you. Ross Tucker with us here. He's going to be on the call tonight, Westwood 1 Thursday Night Football. Ross, I keep looking at the NFC standings, and we think the Eagles are in a pretty good place now. They got off the losing streak, and they won. And the NFC East, maybe not quite what we thought the Commanders were going to be because they have injuries. So that feels good moving forward. But, Ross, I look at the NFC. It feels like it's a lot of good teams right now, and it feels to me like we could be headed for a conference where there's not much separation from the teams fighting for the 1 seed all the way down to 6 or 7. How do you view the NFC? Because it feels to me like there's a bunch of teams headed towards about, between 10 and 12 wins here.
Joe, how old are your kids, quick?
They are 10 and 8.
Was that a 6-7 reference? Can I go 6-7?
They say it, and I just roll my eyes every time it is said in the house now. Every time.
Oh. Guess what? I'm the opposite. I say it anytime I can. I'm going all in to try to single-handedly make it not cool anymore. Because if your dad is saying it every chance he gets,
it stops being cool.
At some point, you're a 12 and 13-year-old, my daughters, they're going to be like, okay, it's not cool anymore. Dad says it all the time. That's my goal. To your point, though, there are, right now, I think 5, maybe 6 teams in the NFC that if they made the Super Bowl, that would not shock me. The Packers are good enough to go to the Super Bowl. The Eagles, certainly. I think the Bucs are, if they can get these guys healthy towards the end of the year. The Lions, certainly. The Rams, certainly. I don't think people realize, Joe, to your point, how good the Seahawks are. They are legitimately good, and I'm not even putting the Niners in there because I think losing Nick Bosa and Fred Warner is too much to overcome, but it's a very different conference this year. There's usually like 2 or 3 teams that you think are at the top, and then maybe a couple that can get to the divisional round, or maybe, but they're not going to the Super Bowl, and then a couple that you don't think they're going to win a playoff game. You are exactly right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 teams in the NFC that it would not shock me if they went to the Super Bowl. I think the Niners the least likely because they lost 2 of maybe the 10 best defensive players in the sport.
Yeah, it's the conference is wild. It's going to be a wild NFC playoffs, and the Eagles need their positioning to get there and be in good spot. Ross, we appreciate it. Have a good call tonight. We'll be listening, and we'll catch up next week.
Sounds great. See you guys.
There he goes. Ross Tucker there on that.